Good evening. You're watching Outside the Box. This is a show which allows you to interact directly with political party candidates. To our daily poll now, last Friday's question was, should the current electricity tariff be reduced? And not surprisingly, all responses were positive. 100% voted yes. Our daily poll comes to an end tonight. Thank you for your participation over the last 4 weeks. We are 8 days away from the national polls, and tonight we begin our series of debates between political party leaders and prominent candidates. And to kickstart our discussion this week is Lynda, the president of the People's Democratic Party, and Dr. Eci Nabalarua from the National Federation Party. Two women that feel they could both change the landscape, the political landscape rather. So tonight let's hear from them and find out what they stand for on various issues. And ladies, good evening to you.
Good evening.
Good evening,
Okay.
Mika.
Now, our first question for the night. The NFP has existed for 50 years. PDP is totally a new party. Now, ladies, which of the two do you think is credible and worth people's votes? Dr. Eci?
Thank you, Mika. I think both parties have their unique strengths, and they are responding to different aspects of the demographics of the political landscape. And I think, in all fairness, as they say, all is fair in politics and in war. Yeah. And I think I would like to say at this stage that each of the two parties have their own levels of credibility and should be given a chance by the electorate.
Right. Now, Mr. Tabuya, do you see yourself, your party, as same level with the NFP? Now campaign is just few days away to end.
Thank you.
Or yours is more prominent than them?
Well, it has been a long road for a newly formed political party, especially with the very short time that we've been given to prepare for elections from last year. We certainly have had to work doubly hard, we feel, being a new party to compete with the big boys, so to speak. Yeah. But we, where we are today, we're very proud of how far we've come, and also we are proud of the fact that we are able to, be given the same kind of prominence and the same kind of exposure, and certainly, coming up against a party that is very well established and rooted in our culture, such as National Federation Party. It certainly has challenges of its own, but we have taken on that challenge. Exactly. And it's just great to be able to be here tonight and to debate tonight with Andy Eci. Okay,
now ladies, PDP has fresh young, perspectives, whilst NFP is an old party, it has old politics. What do you ladies think about this?
Well, I value all politics, and what I say about that is that I think it's really immature to discredit all politics and all politicians. And what I mean by that, I think we can certainly learn from history and the way that the great politicians have served before us. And I personally have learned from them moving forward. But you also learn about mistakes from the past, and that's something I think that the People's Democratic Party has had an advantage over, is that we hadn't had to deal with, with baggage or any kind of mistakes from the past moving forward. And that's certainly what PDP's advantage has, and we certainly would try to market or to portray a new brand of politics that has a lot of young ideas and young people involved, but not just that, just trying something different moving forward in politics.
Dr. Eci, do you think NFP has learned from the past?
Yes, I think so too. And with the lineup that Team NFP has today, we believe that NFP will not be the same ever again. And I think the leadership has grown and has basically aligned itself with the current demands of the people. And while we have old politicians, we are mindful of the consistency and stability that this leadership has provided for the party. And given that we boast to have the youngest aspiring politician in our midst, a 23-year-old lawyer, I think we stand to promote the values that this party has stood for, in terms of multiracialism, gender, youth, a blend of experience and professionalism, wisdom in all its respects. And I think the fact that we have a 50-year-old experience allows us to grow from strength to strength, given that we learn from the mistakes of the past, and we are hoping to go forward stronger and better and more inclined to serve Fiji.
I think the biggest mistake NFP did in the past was the compromise it did with the Rumbuka. By engaging in a agreement on the composition of Parliament, and that basically turned away Indo-Fijian votes from NFP. Do you agree? Is it prepared to go along that path again?
Well, the thing is, while Rumbuka instigated the first coup, the people of Fiji actually voted him back into Parliament. And when you vote a coup maker back into Parliament, you basically legitimize his position. And so the NFP, having come into partnership with SVT on that new constitution in 1997, was basically based on the fact that he was elected back in this time. And while the NFP had voted or had wanted Mr. Kamkamitha to take on the prime ministership, Mr. Kamkamitha instead supported Sitiven Rumbuka. So that's where we saw the.
So you learned of the mistake. So NFP now is looking forward to to obtaining votes and winning seats in Parliament this time around. Do you think?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And Lynda, for your party, it has a multiracial makeup. Do you think it stands a good chance in these elections?
Yes, certainly, Mika. I think for the People's Democratic Party in this journey has seen many voters saying that they are undecided, that they are not sure about, the politics of the past and the existence of the other political parties. Even Fiji First, they refer to as being here for the last 8 years, so they're not a new political party. And so they are looking for something new, they are looking for something fresh and a new way to go forward, and that is certainly what the People's Democratic Party has to offer. We have the only candidate from Rambi. We are proud of that, and we also would dispute NFP's claim about being having the youngest candidate. We also have a 23-year-old, candidate. So, but it shows that there are young people interested and represented, and we are certainly excited about that.
Thank you, ladies. Now we'll continue after this small break. No, don't go anywhere. We'll continue the discussion right after this short break. Welcome back. Well, ladies, we now continue the discussion. What are your views on homosexuality? Dr. Eci?
I think one's sexual preference is their private personal preference. It's their right. And I know that everyone is covered under the human rights, irrespective of who you are, what your sexual preference is, your ethnicity, and so on. And but once it goes to the bigger forum where you want institutions to decide on it, then there needs to be a lot of consultation and dialogue taking place, because I think it's a particular issue that creates a lot of sensitivity, and it needs to be discussed in a wider forum so that it's given its sense of fairness to it.
Yeah, but do you think, Lynda, that will go to the extent of allowing gay marriage in the country?
Well, I think right now, as Sandia stated, is that the law has caught up with the times. in that, you know, previously in the crimes decree on the criminal laws, it was a crime for, you know, a gay couple to engage in their sexual practice. But, you know, the law has caught up in terms of the McCosker case, as you recall, talking about privacy rights. It had basically taken over the, you know, the rights of the public, so the privacy rights took over the public interest in the matter. So the time will come for that discussion, as mentioned. But the thing about that is that right now, in terms of equality before the law, there is a lot of violence against people living, you know, homosexuals, and that's what we need to tackle at the moment. Is that there are a lot of violence and discrimination against them, and they need to be protected under the law, and also be given the same kind of services from the police,
the provision is there,
and the hospitals, and all of that. They should have the same kinds of protection that anyone else is given under the law.
Exactly. Well, ladies, we have a caller from Lami Tone. Tone, go ahead and ask your question.
Yes, good evening, ladies.
Yeah, go ahead, Tony. What is your question?
Ladies, my question is, both of your parties are saying that they'll bring back the GCC. My question is, would you bring the party back in its current form, or would you change it?
Okay. John is asking tonight, there's been calls for to bring back the GCC. Yes. Now, for your parties, will it bring it back in the current form?
Thank you. Well, for the People's Democratic Party would like to bring back the GCC. That is certainly in our manifesto. But what we'd like to see is actually a re-engineered GCC, something that is more meaningful for the people. We believe that the GCC is not only just an institution that would look at the development of the modern Fijian. It needs to be re-engineered to look at the development of the modern Fijian today. And what does that mean? It can help in things like land issues that we are facing right now. Another thing that the GCC could do is to promote peace in our country. I think it's one of the ways that we can prevent coups from further happening, because, you know, state structures like a government can work together with the GCC to promote peace moving forward, because this is what happened in Vanuatu. They have the National Council of Chiefs, and they had some rioting in Vanuatu a few years back, and the National Council of Chiefs stepped in and brokered and actually promoted dialogue between the party leaders who were fighting, and this could have happened in 2006 also. We could have avoided a coup if they had stepped in their role to promote peace and to resolve conflict. And we would like that kind of great Council of Chiefs to exist. But mostly the development of Ita, we need to make it more development oriented today for the modern Fijian and for all people who are living in this country.
Now, Dr. Eci, NFP has no stand on GCC as far as the manifesto is concerned. Well, but anyway, what do you have to say to that?
The NFP, if it gets the chance to be in government, intends to, in the first 100 days, convene Mbose, or a meeting of all the chiefs and the leaders of the Yavusa, to come in and discuss their idea of what the Great Council of Chiefs should be. And as pointed out by Lynda, it needs to be an institution that is relevant and responsive to the needs of Itoke in this day and age. And I think what it basically means is that they will need to look at the membership, the functions, the roles. They will need to discuss amongst themselves what they see as the linkages to mainstream institutions and to other institutions of the Fijian administration, and basically to ensure that they understand what it is that they need to do and discuss to make this forum functional.
Okay, Dr. Eci, there's a call on the line before we go to break. John Sami from Samambula.
Yes, my question is to both Eci and Lynda. What do you think of the current education system and how will you improve it?
Come again, Mr. Sami, what do you think of the current?
What do you think of the current education system and how you're going to improve it?
What do you think of the current education system and how are you going to improve it? Very short, because we're going
the current education system. I think the current education system stands to be improved, and that can be done through a National Education Commission of Inquiry. We actually need to look at the curriculum, the form of educational delivery, assessment and evaluation, teaching methods, the resources, and so on, so that we can raise it to world class and have it comparable to other educational systems in Australia and New Zealand.
Thank you, Lynda?
Thank you. And just adding to that, we need to look at educational infrastructure. We need to improve our schools. We need to be able to have less, teacher-student ratio. We've got to be able to train our teachers better. And just overall, I think in terms of what they're doing right now in terms of assessments and tasks, it doesn't really apply for our country. We need to bring external exams back so that we can know how far our children are progressing. And then also with this, giving this money in terms of free tuition, really they've taken away the grant, so it's just replacing that, but you still got to pay for, for costs of living. You still got to pay for school, bags and shoes and things like that. So you got to look at wages and salaries of people to be able to afford.
Well, ladies, our time is up in a segment. Stay tuned. You're watching Out of the Box. We'll be back after the break. Welcome back. Now we'll begin taking this call from Amele Lotoka Mbulubinaka Amele. Mbulubinaka Amele, are still there?
Yes.
Your question, please.
And Mbulubinaka to the ladies.
Yes. Your question, Amele.
My question is, so much has been done for gender inequality, particularly for women. How about for men, for a change? In regards to DVROs, maintenance, and so forth, because they have been treated unfairly.
Okay, all right. Amel is asking, so much has been done about women or gender equality on women, but nothing so far has been done on men, What do you think, Lynda? You agree with her?
Look, it depends on the context. I think, if you are promoting gender equality at the expense of men, then I think that needs to be relooked at.
You think we need a men's crisis center?
Well, I think men themselves aren't the ones calling for this. I think we need to relook at how this whole psyche in our society about gender equalities is that we are always pushing a woman's agenda, but the fact remains and the statistics remain that women are way discriminated more than men in the workplace, in even with domestic violence and even in many facets of society. So that we need to equalize that, and it only just means bringing them up to par with how men have achieved. It's not to take over, and that's the point of gender equality.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. It's not that men are being left out. It's just the nature of the system that we are in, And to top it off, the Fijian society, whether we like it or not, is a very patriarchal, male-dominated society. And as Lynda has pointed out, the whole idea of gender equality and gender mainstreaming is just to bring women up to par.
Thank you. Well,
in
ladies,
all respects.
Well, ladies, I won't, go up against you two ladies on this issue anymore because it's two against one. I know we shouldn't lose on this one. But anyway, what are your party solutions to ending the coup culture? We have had 4 coups in the last 19 years. What do you think?
Thank you. Well, I've lived through all 4 coups, and I'm literally tired of them too. I think political instability has caused more problems in this country than any other factor in history of Fiji. The few things People's Democratic Party would like to do, number one, we'd like to see that there's an express provision in the Constitution that forbids coups. We embody our history and say, moving forward, if anyone commits a coup, you get no immunity, you face prosecution right away.
Do you think that will be the lasting solution? That will be the one that will deter people?
Well, certainly, it'll be the supreme law of the country, and you've got to be able to practice it. Number two, you've got to be able to use our traditional institutions along with our state institutions, like I mentioned, the GCC. You've got to be able to hold hands together. Traditional structures and state structures must work together, and then moving the country forward to ensure that we don't have further coups. And and certainly we've got to be able to move, have less power in the Constitution with the executive, because right now this 2013 Constitution has seen more power to the Attorney General and the Prime Minister than anyone else. It's got to be in the hands of Parliament because Parliament is supreme.
Mr. Mo, we have a call on the line. Samu from the Wheel Level. Bulminaka Samu. Your question, please. Yeah, can I ask you? Ask your question now.
My question to the two guests is: do they think?
Yeah. Is Samu your question?
Is the current
Yeah, what is the question, Samu?
Practicing the real democracy.
Okay, the question from Samu is the current government practicing real democracy? Dr. Eci?
I don't think it's practicing real democracy. For one thing, they didn't come into power or into this government through a democratic process of the elections. So when you're coming in illegally, it's quite difficult to then practice the things that we understand to be the basis of a good democracy. And on that basis, the fact that because there is no parliament, they are operating through a cabinet-like government, and all the laws which we understand that needs to be enacted in parliament, that is the democratic process. But at present, we are currently being run by decrees. And also because they've taken it upon themselves to remove the rights of people, suppress the voices of the people, restrict media freedoms, and these are all renowned characteristics of a democracy.
Right.
So they're definitely not operating in a democracy.
One of our viewers has texted in a question: what policies other than the equal citizenship policy is a good policy that also needs to be protected? What do you think, Lynda?
Well, the policies are really about promoting, accountability and transparency and good governance. I mean, we could return to democracy and then see these kinds of tenets of a good government go away, or not be upheld. A good government is a clean government, one that is accountable to the people, that is transparent in what it does, and certainly does consultation with the people. And a good government is one that is accountable to Parliament, because Parliament is supreme and it is elected by the people.
Do you think the 2013 Constitution is yet another experiment?
Well, experiment, I mean, we've had a few constitutions in the past. Certainly for us, for PDP, this is an experiment. This is a failure for the people, because it was imposed, first of all, and it doesn't embody our rights in the way that it should be, because it's the only constitution in the history of Fiji that actually, in one side, it gives you the right, and the other side, it takes it away.
Dr. Eci?
I think it is an illegal constitution, because constitutions only get enacted and legitimated through a parliament. And in relation to that, my answer to your previous question, how do you get rid of a coup culture? At this point in time in Fiji, I would say that if we were to get rid of this coup culture, the one thing that we can do immediately is not to vote this government back into power. Because this is a government that came about through a military coup. And if you put it back into government, you legitimate its existence in the same way that we legitimated Sitiveni Rabuka when he undertook that coup. And when we legitimate that government, you begin to legitimate that constitution, and its implementation would basically be disastrous for Fiji.
Well, thank you, ladies, and that's all for tonight. Join us again tomorrow night as we continue to debate the important issues in the lead up to elections. Good evening. Well, thank you, Dr.